They tell a story in Russia during communism. A teacher was trying to inculcate her students that there is no God. So she took all the kindergarten kids to the park. And she said to the children, "Children, do you see the sky?" The children looked up and they said, "Yes, we see the sky." And the teacher said, "Well, that's how you know that the sky exists." And then the teacher said to the children, "Children, do you see the trees?" And all the children said, "Yes." And then the teacher said, "Well, that's how you know that the trees exist." And then the teacher said, "Do you see the birds?" And the kids said, "Yes." The teacher said, "Well, that's how you know that the birds exist." And then the teacher in this Russian school says to the kids, "Children, do you see God?" And the children say, "No, we don't see God." And the teacher says, "Well, that's how you know that God doesn't exist." At that point, there was a little boy in the classroom. His name was Moshe. He was only 5 years old, and he says to all the other kids in the class, "Children, do you see the teacher's brains?" And the kids say, "No." And little Moshe says, "Well, that's the way you know it doesn't exist." Well, obviously, not everything we don't see doesn't necessarily exist. We can't see our brains, but we obviously know that we have intelligence and intellect. God cannot be seen. He could only be felt and experienced. However, in this week's parsha, we find that the Jewish people, or at least a portion of the Jewish people, actually saw God. It talks about the sight, the experience of the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai, and it says that Moses, Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, two of the sons of Aaron, and 70 elders went up onto the mountain. Vayechazu et Elokim. They saw God. They actually saw God in this week's Torah portion. But the next two words after they saw God is Vayochlu vayishtu, and they ate and they drank. And the question is, they just saw God, and now they eat and drink at such a holy, spiritual, lofty moment that they're seeing God. They sit down to eat and drink. And Mezritcha Magid, one of the great Hasidic masters, says precisely, if you want to know what Judaism is all about, it's about taking the holiest moments, the most sublime spiritual experiences, and bringing it into the physical material reality. Because Judaism is not about escaping the world, it's about transforming the world. Judaism is all about combining spirit and matter, heaven and earth, body and soul. And so because they experienced God and saw God, they took that inspiration and they said, now let's eat and drink, because eating and drinking is the emblem of physicality and materialistic endeavors. And they said, let's imbue the physical body and the physical reality with the lofty holiness of God's presence. And that's what Judaism is all about. Judaism is about going high spiritually, connecting to Hashem, but not to remain on some high plane, but to bring it back down, to make this world better, to do acts of goodness and kindness, to transform the physical reality, or as we say, to do a mitzvah. That's the ultimate goal of Judaism. One of the great rabbis that passed away this year, his name was Rabbi Reuven Feinstein. He was the son of Rav Moshe Feinstein, who was also a renowned great rabbi. And there's a story told about Rabbi Reuven Feinstein that there was once a panel of rabbis, and there was a question and answer period. And one of the questions that was posed to all the rabbis was, if you could invite for dinner one person, anyone, from the present or the past, to come and have dinner with you, who would you invite? And each rabbi thought and gave another name of some great person, historical figure, some great Jewish leader, rabbi, teacher. He said, oh, if I could invite one person from dinner from the present or the past, I would invite this great person. And then when they came to Rabbi Reuven Feinstein, they said, if you could invite one person for dinner, who would you invite? Rabbi Reuven Feinstein said, I would invite a poor person who needs a meal to eat. That's what Judaism is all about. Judaism is not about just using knowledge and inspiration and lofty ideas for the sake of transcending this reality. It's about taking all the lofty, beautiful, spiritual insights of Judaism into life and into the world, and drawing it down to make a tangible, practical difference in the lives of others. Have a wonderful day.